Well, Congress is back, Lee, and the impeachment inquiry is on. Your thoughts?
There was a family business where they were working with foreign entities to sell access to Joe Biden. And there is evidence, even though the Democrats want to say that there isn't, of this arrangement with the payments, with Joe Biden being benefiting from it. There's evidence that's come out in the last couple of weeks. John Solomon, as a result of some FOIA work that's come out that shows that there's actual government documents to back up some of these arguments. You have laptop video, WhatsApp messages, texts, emails, whistleblower testimony. You've had testimony now of former business partners, and you have Hunter's own words. You have Joe Biden's own words with his video of when he was bragging about firing Shokin. So for the left, some are still holding on to the there's no evidence argument. Others have now evolved to there's no direct evidence argument. It's going to be important for congressional Republicans to put out the facts as we know them now with the evidence as we have it now. And because the other side's going to be arguing that this stuff doesn't even exist. And if you lose the information effort of educating the American public, you're not going to have a successful impeachment inquiry no matter what kind of good work you're doing. So the beginning of this process is going to be very key for the congressional Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, Krysia, it's really hard to dismiss all of the evidence that we've seen already. 176 suspicious activity reports. Most people won't get one suspicious activity report. The Biden family got 176 of them. You got witness testimony saying that whistleblowers saying, yeah, Joe Biden committed bribery and money laundering.
Mm-hmm. And they've tried to stifle the whistleblowers as well. And that's a huge portion of this investigation, too. I think the subpoenas that'll come out in terms of the emails with Joe Biden using a pseudonym will be incredibly important. But I get also frustrated with Republicans, too, who say, oh, this is a fruitless effort because ultimately the Senate will not impeach him. But we need to get this information out. The general public needs to know because other networks are not covering it. And this is the only way we can present that evidence.
Yeah.
And it's necessary.
Adam, the New York Post calls it culture of corruption this morning in its paper. You know, the Democrats are dismissing this inquiry, Adam. Take a listen. Watch.
Right.
There is zero evidence of any malfeasance on the part of President Joe Biden.
My gosh, it's devastating. Ooh, don't do it. Please don't do it.
There's been no evidence. And so they're using this word inquiry.
Extreme MAGA Republicans have launched an illegitimate impeachment inquiry that is a kangaroo court, fishing expedition, and conspiracy theater rolled into one.
Well, that is quite a united front, Maria, and that's the way the Democrats do it. They turn on every engine under their control, whether it's, as we just heard from politicians going on saying things like no evidence, kangaroo court, et cetera, to the New York Times refusing to cover this completely. I think that Kevin McCarthy has to, for the benefit of the American public, go to the inquiry. It's not an impeachment. It's an inquiry because you say we need to flesh this out. The risk to Republicans is twofold. Number one, it falls flat. It just never really goes anywhere. And then the Democrats say, see, we were right, you were wrong. That's one risk. Or number two, they run the risk of looking as politicized as the Democrats have become in the attempt to try to take down Donald Trump with the Department of
Well, it's interesting
Justice.
because the kangaroo court that Hakeem Jeffries is talking about, what do you call what went on with Donald Trump with an impeachment because of a phone call? And of course, the media going along with it all. The Associated Press also is downplaying this, by the way. The GOP's investigation was the subject of the AP yesterday. They write, Republicans are, quote, claiming without evidence that Joe and Hunter Biden engaged in an influence peddling scheme. I don't know how you see it any other way. What were they getting paid for?
Well, as you have made clear over your broadcasts over the past 6, 7, 8 weeks, they were getting access. They were getting influence. And even though you may not be able to say, wait, see, there's the line item where Joe got the money.
Yeah.
When 20 family members get money and when Joe, Mr. Biden, the president, the vice president then, is on the phone with them? Come on.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is refusing to say if he supports this impeachment inquiry. Take a watch.
I believe it was a good idea for Speaker McCarthy to open that impeachment inquiry into the president. Do you support that?
Yeah, look, I'm going to say it again. I don't think Leader McCarthy, Speaker McCarthy, needs any advice from the Senate on how to run the House.
Lee, what does this impeachment inquiry give the Republicans? Will they be able to get, for example, Joe Biden's bank records?
You open up the Wall Street Journal and you see the top above fold, McCarthy launches inquiry to impeach president. You're watching yesterday's announcement of Kevin McCarthy, and other networks that don't want to talk about any of this ever, and they want to cover for President Biden, are talking about it and they're covering it live. There's that increased media focus on it. The facts are able to get out there. It's going to be important for, listen, if Democrats are going to say no evidence, we expect them to say there's no evidence, kangaroo court, whatever. For congressional Republicans to go along with it, they're either covering for Joe Biden themselves, that's no excuse, or they aren't paying attention to the actual evidence that exists. So it's expected of congressional Democrats, but all congressional Republicans should be on board with helping to push out the truth.
We need to put a graphic up of the Congress people who are against an impeachment inquiry. I think the public wants to know that.
Good point. Good point.
We want to know exactly who is pushing back on this within Congress. We'll do that.